So one of the most important things in pickleball is paddle readiness. Okay, and so that's keeping the paddle high and in front of you, in either at a 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock position. All right, so a lot of us struggle to get into that position. We want to be in that position, but invariably we'll hit a ball and we'll be back here. The only problem with being here relative to paddle readiness is that if you're getting a ball quickly here, it's up. It takes that amount of time. If your paddle's here, it takes that amount of time. All right, so you're basically you're reacting very quickly to blocks. The dink, you don't need to react as quickly to. You can then step back, bring your paddle down, and get to it. But it's these quick blocks that happen up here that are necessary. We struggle with that, and so I'm thinking one way that we can possibly make paddle readiness more a part of our game is through imagery. So probably, how many of you know of Tyson McGuffin? One of the top players in pickleball. All right. So when Tyson plays, he is like this. I mean, literally. I mean, I'm not doing him justice because he looks mean and lean and mean in this position. But his paddle is here. He's basically aiming it like a gun sight right at that person across the net. Paddle out, ready to go. Okay. And so he's invariably able to get so many blocks here. So imagine your paddle being here. This is a very complicated place to take a ball. All right. If your paddle's here, it's not a complicated place to take a ball. And then by thinking about Tyson, possibly when you're playing, this is what I did yesterday. I talked to my partner. I'd say at the beginning of a point, and Tyson, if you're watching this video, I'd say Tyson. And so we knew exactly what that meant. And so by having that image in your mind, it allowed our bodies to kind of follow suit. So next thing you know, we're both right out here with the paddle way out front, and I began reaching balls that I wasn't used to reaching. I began getting balls because if you're all the way out here, if you're here, your fail-safe is here. If you're here, your fail-safe is here. So this is a great place to take a ball. This is an even better place to take a ball.
We won't say Tyson, we'll say Bird.
You can say what you want.
Right.
But if you've got an image in your mind, you're not involving the left-hand side of your brain, but the right-hand side of your brain, the creative side of your brain, sees that image, and then you've got two brains participate. Well, three. Both your human brains, right? And then your animal brain, which is playing the game for you.
So right, my left side is Bird, my right side is Tweaks.
There we go. You can talk about that. So basically having all brains involved, and then try to get that paddle out there like this. You're going to find it's going to do wonders for your game. You're going to be able to protect yourself from blocks. You're going to get the balls quicker. Not only getting balls, but you're going to be on top of balls. So you're able to take a ball that you would normally just do in a defensive block, and you're going to be able to do an offensive play on that. So conjure an image in your mind of this, all right? And then as many times as you can in your play, try to get in this position. And after a while, your body's going to make it a routine, something that it's going to do automatically for you. And guess what? When you're in this position, you're going to feel a drop in anxiety in your body. Your body's going to actually notice it because your body knows I'm safe. I'm safe when we're like this. When we're like this or when we're like this, we're not safe. We're ready to get a shot right to the chest, to the face possibly, depending on who we're playing.
So this is essentially a repeat about what we talked last week. At the end of last week, you had discovered, and we had actually practiced holding our paddle out in front.
Exactly.
So it's not paddle readiness. It's like paddle offensiveness.
Paddle offensiveness. I like. So this is an extension upon that. So I'm constantly in a learning cycle. Mm-hmm. So I went from last week where we're saying we're drilling this, and guess what I was doing? I was drilling with two hands out there, right?
Right.
And I found now that actually having that hand down allows me to be quicker and more nimble. So I've actually even tried to pull my hand back because Tyson has his hand. His out there, like my paddle readiness was always like this. Okay, that's a little slower because you're involving two hands. This is just really nimble and out in front. Now, what it really highlighted is that I need to drill more forehand blocks because I'm so used to doing these sorts of blocks from being in a non-paddle ready position that I need to be drilling these forehand balls. Good question. Any other questions?
I would imagine this paddle offensiveness comes also with placement where you are here. So this past week I've been doing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
If I find myself here, I find myself open here.
Yeah.
So it's really more here so that you reach all these areas over here, defend as well as be offensive.
That's very good.
Here.
You need to square yourself off to the ball. So no matter where that ball is, you're squared off to the ball. So I've got this covered, I've got this covered. Okay, those are the two quick attacks from someone who's right there.
Right.
If I'm over here, I'm not going to be standing there looking like this with the ball over there. I'm going to be basically turning and squaring my body off the ball there. So I've got that quick shot, I've got that quick shot.
Thank you.
All right. So it's always knowing where that ball is and squaring yourself to the position of that ball. If we're always like this, even the ball's over here, to get a ball that goes here, we're gonna have to do something along like that's an extra step which takes that much more. And if it's a step plus a reach, you don't have it. Here you've got just the reach. Okay?
Thank you. That's a nice refinement.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I play volleyball. I've played for millions of years, and I'm slow. I'm only getting slower. But what I have found
We
is
all
that
are.
I'm the setter, and so I have to get the second ball no matter where it is. So I am watching the ball, but I'm also watching the position of the person getting me the ball. Are they going to bump it, or are they going to pass it? And are they squared to me? And if they're not, I know where to go. And so I feel like another thing to learn is when you're warming up with somebody, just to put in your brain, how do they hit the ball?
Very good.
Which I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that that's something that yet another step for me is to, when the game's starting, really monitor their body position when they're hitting different types of balls as you're starting the game. Because you're warming up and you're doing your thing, but actually watching them, I think it would be very helpful. It's helped me because I have to do whatever I can to not chase the ball more than I need to in a volleyball game.
That speaks towards anticipation, and that's what we're building. The more and more you play the sport, the more and more your mind recognizes it needs to anticipate, but your body does too. And so your body's going to my body recognizes a lot of cues, and the more different styles of players I play, the more I learn the different cues that come from different players. And so I might be able to apply that cue to someone across the net who played like someone else I played 2 weeks ago. And my body knows that playing style. And that's why I love playing so many different players at a high level, is that I get to basically learn new cues. I get to write little internal programs in terms of how to handle that player. That's very, very good that you're recognizing that right now. And a lot of that's happening here. And there's a lot of it happening here. As more seasoned we get, the more and more we're anticipating, whether we realize it or not. And all we're doing is building that anticipation. I'm still stacking anticipation. I played last Sunday against a crew that was really hard hitting, right? And so I needed to start building those cues against those players. And toward the end of the session, I did. Not as well as they knew their own cues because they played together every week, right? But that's why it's so much fun to play so many different players. When I get the opportunity to play a different player, I'm writing new programs for my body, right? So that's good. Good recognition. Any other questions? Yeah?
I'm not going to like your answer.
Okay.
Does this mean my grip's wrong?
What's that mean? Let's see. Hold it straight out.
Because if I'm playing defense, I can't get to this position.
So notice you're not. It's not straight out in front of you. Well, here, square yourself to the net. There we go. That's good enough. But you're also gonna be using some of your body to bring that to the side. You don't need to necessarily do that, right? It's going to be probably more like this, small movements. That's a tough block, okay? I'm not going to say that it isn't, and that's why a lot of people target the paddle shoulder. Is that it is really tough. It is really tough to block here. Not as tough to block here. Not as tough to block here or here even, right? Let's move that out a little bit. So I think your grip looks fine. It's just I need to train this spot just like everyone else does because this tends to be a weak blocking position. A lot of times you got to be careful because if the ball is this high, it's probably out if it's going fast, right? So this would probably be more appropriate height to think about that. All right, let's get to some training.